when you first landed the role of Meryl in Metal Gear Solid, did you think back then that that series was going to blow up into the globally loved franchise that it is?
No, we had no idea. Nobody knew. Nobody, like, it was the first of its kind video game because we were acting. We weren't just like pow, pow, you know, it was like acting. And we had serious relationships that had never happened in a video game. It was really visionary as it was created. Aloha, I'm Debi Mae West, known as the voice of Meryl in Metal Gear Solid and Lady Tsunade on Naruto, among other things. You will hear me on the Paris Olympics, and I just wanted to give a shout out to the #1 podcast in Hawaii, the Kasanova Podcast, and ask all listeners to keep it tuned here, keep listening. A lot of great stuff coming through. Have a wonderful day filled with aloha. Mwah.
All right, aloha and welcome everyone to another episode of Hawaii's #1 podcast for tech and entertainment and more, the Kasanova Podcast. I'm your host, Kasanova, and today I'm joined by a very, very, very special guest, the one, the only, Debi Mae West. Debi, how are you doing?
Aloha, I'm already crying. Oh, I'm great. I've had a great day. I'm here on Kauai and so excited to be here. I was really stoked when you said I'm a podcaster from Hawaii, and no one from Hawaii has ever found me and asked me to be on their podcast. So thank you.
Really? Oh, wow. Like it's well, you know, one of the things I've noticed with a lot of podcasts, specifically out here, is like they're very focused. And I think this is more so kind of like our culture is out here in Hawaii, where we're kind of just focused on what's going on here and not so much everywhere else.
Yeah.
And so like, when I've noted, like when I got into podcasting, it actually started with my brother and I, and we were looking at everything that everyone else is doing, and we're like, you know what? There's enough people in this oversaturated field. Let's start talking about things we're interested in. And so we kind of just went from there. And so it's been a crazy journey. It's, you know, a lot of people I grew up listening to, you know, as a fan of games and anime, I'm like, wow, I know them on a first name basis, or I see them whenever they come out here. So it's really such an honor to be able to do this. But
how'd you find me?
So when I was reaching out, one of the guests at KawaiiCon, I went there and I was talking to one of the agents, and they're saying, hey, you know, I represent all these other people. Here's some of the people I represent. Would you be interested in, you know, interviewing any of them as well as the guests that are here? And I'm like, yes. So when I saw your name, I'm like, yes, let's do that. And so they're like, okay, let me go ahead and coordinate that. And so that's how it came about. And it's very interesting. Like I like to tell other people who are getting into content creating or want to work with brands or businesses or do podcasts. I'm like, the simplest thing you can do is just reach out and ask. Like that's the simplest thing.
Yeah, I don't do a lot of them. I got to be honest. I don't think what I have to say is all that interesting. Like some of the other actors I know, they're, you know, they really are so into what they do. And by the way, I'm very into what I do, but I don't really always know the storylines or, you know, I mean, a lot of the games that I've done and like it's Naruto, it was 20 years, but I haven't recorded in a very long time. And so I never watched all the episodes. So there's so much I don't know. And I've never played a video game in my whole life. So, I mean, there's so much I don't know, but I'm an interesting human being. So if nothing else, we'll have an interesting human conversation. And I'm, you know, I have a lot going on actually. So let's have a talk. What do you want to ask me?
Awesome. So one of the questions I wanted to ask you is like, how does it feel being one of the voices, if not one of the main voices for the upcoming Olympics. Like that's gotta feel incredibly like just like a once in a lifetime type of opportunity. Like how does that feel?
Yes, it's I did the Winter Olympics 2 years ago. I did voiceovers for the Peacock and USA feeds, and this time I'm going to do voiceovers for NBC, and it's the most thrilling part of my career, I can say, after many, many, many years, many video games, being the voice of networks, everything I've done. I feel like for me, the pinnacle, maybe not for other voiceover actors, but for me, the pinnacle is the Olympics, because I really want the world to be peaceful and joyful and filled with love. And I feel like the Olympics is the place where you have to put your stuff aside, and, you know, it's pure joy, pure love. It's sport. It's world peace in a 2-week period. For me, that's how I see it. I'm praying that, you know, Paris is safe, because they're setting it up so that a lot of people can view it. I was just in Paris on vacation last month, and like the whole opening ceremony is going to be on the Seine River, and each barge will have a different country, and it's all open air, and it's, you know, it's not in a stadium. They really are trying to make it as public as possible. And so, you know, if it all goes well and all goes as planned, there's going to be so much joy, and it's going to be so beautiful. And I'm crying telling you, because it's been my dream for many, many, many years. And, you know, my dream is to be the Mike Tirico of voice for the Olympic. Like, Mike Tirico is the guy you're going to see, and we all know it. Like, when the Olympics are on, Mike Tirico is the guy, and among other people, but he's the main guy. And I love him. So incredible. And so, you know, my dream would be that for years to come, my voice will be the voice that, you know, that when that music starts, you know, you'll hear Debi Mae West, and we'll see. I mean, this is my second one, but this is like the first one where they asked me to do a lot of stuff, and I'm thrilled. I'm beyond thrilled. But it means I'm missing the Metal Gear Solid convention next week, because I decided that I just couldn't go be around a lot of people, because I start the Olympics the very next day. And I was like, wait, I can't fly to LA on a plane, because there's still a lot of people passing around sickness, and then go hug 1,000 people, because I'm a total aloha hugger. Like, when I do conventions, people get so much love from me, and I was just like, I can't go do that. I gotta just kind of hunker down. So I'm really bummed. I don't know if you know about the Metal Gear Solid convention, or are you a fan of MGS?
Oh yes. That was one of the things. Like, I was talking with David Hayter recently. We were supposed to do something to collaborate with that, but with the upcoming Metal Gear Solid Delta that he's going to be coming back into the studio for, we're waiting for that to get closer to the launch, so that we can time whatever we're doing. Yeah.
Well, I hope they're going to re-record Metal Gear Solid, and all of them, actually, because we'd all like to do it again. But yeah, so MGScon last year was so much fun. That I have to say, I haven't done a lot of conventions, maybe 10, but that one was for sure my favorite. And because it was created by a huge fan. It was created by a woman all by herself. I know I've been crying, so I'm like, now I've got snot running down my nose, because like I'm thinking about the Olympics and it makes me cry. Anyway, you know, this woman, Amanda Lemon, was just like, I'm going to create a Metal Gear Solid convention. And she did. And it's so filled with love. The fans, like, Metal Gear fans, are incredible. I am so lucky that I got to play Meryl Silverburgh. The love that I get when people come to meet me is out of this world. So I'm terribly disappointed that I had to make the decision to not go next week. But yeah, it's going to be a hoot. People are going to have a great time. And David's going to be there. I mentioned you, and he said to say hi. And he said he's a fan of yours, so that's super cool. But he's so cool. I love David Hayter so much.
Yeah, and don't feel bad. Like the Olympics, that's so important. So like, as fans, we should all understand. Like, okay, that has to take a little bit of priority right there.
I always grew up watching the Olympics. I love the Olympics. I love sports. I love doing sports voiceovers. I've done a lot of sports voiceovers. So I just want to encourage everyone I'm giving a free plug to NBC and Peacock right here and right now, that like the opening ceremonies are going to be mind blowing. Paris is mind blowing. It's going to be so much fun. And, it'll be cool because Lady Tsunade is the voice, or Meryl. If you want to look at it.
So, speaking of which, like, you're out here in Hawaii. Like, how has it been, like, moving out here and living out here? Like, has that been like life changing in a way? Paradise? Yes.
I gotta wipe the snot from my nose because I'm literally kind of weepy. I gotta tell you, I lived in LA my entire life. I lived in New York for a minute. I started surfing at a very late age in life, and I fell in love with surfing. And I figured out a way to do voiceovers on the road. It took me a long time. I mean, the technology's been there for a long time, but it's a thing. When you're a voiceover person that works a lot, it's very scary to like go on vacation, because if somebody needs you and you're not available, they're gonna replace you, because there's a lot of us. And so I didn't travel for a long, long time. And when I figured out how to travel and do voiceovers, I went as many places as I could, and I went surfing as many places as I could. And I had a vision during COVID, like a very strong vision. I saw like Kauai in lights, and I had been here once for a birthday, and the islands, of course, were closed during COVID. Unless you wanted to quarantine for 2 weeks, you couldn't come. But it was so strong, this calling. And I wasn't going to move here. I just came to go surf for 2 months. And I stayed for 3, and I ended up like finding a dream place to live. And I just thought, gosh, been in LA my whole life. And it was kind of crazy. I mean, a lot of people, especially a lot of voiceover friends, are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you just like up and left the business. And I'm like, well, I didn't really leave the business, because the business now goes everywhere, which I kind of wish it didn't, because now every single person on earth has a studio in their home and is trying to do voiceovers. But I've been lucky enough to stay working, and I'm having a great life. I love it here. I love where I live. I love the people. I love the islands. I love surfing. The water's so warm. I mean, I'm tan. I don't miss LA at all. How long have you been on Oahu?
I've mostly grown up out here. I'm originally from Samoa, but I've been in Hawaii since, I want to say, 2004, 2005 is when I came out here, and I came out here for college, and just haven't gone back. I was supposed to go back to get my sleeve done, because I was getting it done traditional tap style, but I decided, I was like, I love Samoa. It's very much like Hawaii. If anyone's ever got the chance to go there, it's just think Hawaii or Big Island or Kauai, but it's just probably 10 to 20% hotter. And I was supposed to have gotten, way harder. Way.
I love your tattoo, by the way. It's very tribal and gorgeous and very island.
Thank you. I was supposed to go back there and get it done, but I was like, I don't want to do it. Plus, they do it out when it's like super muggy, and it was a whole process. I would have to get the whole thing done, and it would be like 3 days straight. I was like, no, let me find somebody out here that's actually ordained to do it, because I'm of a chieftain family. People. Yeah, so I found someone to do it, and they're like, hey, do you want just the Samoan style? I'm like, can I incorporate my other cultures, because I'm also Hawaiian and Tongan? So they were able to put all 3 into one tattoo, and it's
That's
been
so
pretty
cool.
crazy. So yeah, one of the things I tell people, I'm like, coming to Hawaii, like it's like nothing else. Like you're gonna love it. Well, each island is very different. A lot of people think all the islands are the same. I'm like, no,
Oh, they're
each
so
island is
different. I
very
mean,
different.
Kauai is so completely different from Waikiki Beach, like
Yeah,
night and day. I come to Waikiki to hear music and kind of and surf a little bit, but mostly just like get some city life because there's no
yeah,
city feeling here at all.
yeah.
And they have
One of
a
the
lot
other
on your island too.
true, they do. Like one of the things, I think eventually, like Hua and I are probably gonna move out of Waikiki, but because I love living here because it's so easy to go to the different places I need to go to, but at the same
Yeah,
time, it's like the noise. And I'm like, I'm
I
more of a
know.
country
It's
boy.
intense. It's like LA. Like when
Yeah.
I've gone back to LA since I've lived here, I'm like, I'll never live here again. And Waikiki's intense. It's loud. There's
Yeah.
a lot of people. It's so different from here. But again, like it's so quiet here that sometimes I'm like, okay, I got to get off the rock. That's my, I got to get off the rock. And, but yeah, it's beautiful. I went to the Big Island this year for the first time. It was
Mhm.
amazing. I've been to Maui a couple of times. I actually went to U of H when I got out of high school. I went to summer school over there on Oahu
Mhm.
for a summer, and I rode a pedicab. Do you remember those? Do they
Wow.
still have them?
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah, they did.
huge thing back then. It was like the 80s, and pedicabs were all the rage. And it was so hard. There was one time I had to drive 4 people, and I was going up this hill, and I was just like, what am I thinking? It was so ridiculous.
What's so interesting too is like there's a lot of voice actors that have been moving out to Hawaii. Like Steve Bloom lives on Big Island, has
He does.
his
I've been to his
studio
house.
there.
Well, his wife directed me in Naruto for years and years, Mary Elizabeth. And my partner and I ended up going to the Big Island for Christmas.
Hmm.
And we called up Steve and went to see their home. It's absolutely gorgeous. I hope they come visit me sometime. But yeah, they built a beautiful house and they're stoked. And then also Nicole Balick is actually on Oahu. She's also a voice actor. Have you met her or do you know her?
I haven't met her yet. I've been trying to reach out. Haven't gotten anything back yet, so I'm just gonna stick with it. And like, hey, eventually, eventually, I can get in touch.
Yeah, she's there. I'll give her a little toot toot and tell her to respond. I don't know if she does a lot of interviews and stuff, but anyway, what else would you like to know about my silly, crazy life and career?
So, what was the thing that that sparked that creative desire to go into like acting? Like, have you always had a desire to get into acting, or like what pushed you into it?
Well, I wanted to be a rock and roll star. I'm a singer as well, and I grew up in Los Angeles, so I was around Hollywood and acting always. And I never really wanted to be an on-camera actor. I studied acting, but I always was really, like I told you, I don't like being on camera. It's like
Hmm.
growing up in LA kind of fucks you up as a woman. It's just like, are you skinny enough? Are you hot enough? Are you gorgeous enough? And so that was never. I don't know. I didn't see myself becoming a movie star or anything like that. And I went to music school. I really wanted to be a singer, and
Hmm.
I have a very tender voice, and so when I sing, which is more of like a rock style, I was singing jazz actually, but I'm more of like a rock and kind of a bluesy voice, and I
Hmm.
lose my voice a lot, and so I got a little insecure about going into that business, and I don't know, I was in the right place at the right time when women were just breaking into voiceovers because it was all men at one point, and
Hmm.
a woman that I knew kind of steered me in the direction and told me about some classes I could take. I mean, it was a very different world. There were like a few thousand voice actors, and that was it.
Hmm.
And I ended up, you know, taking some classes, making a demo. My story was very much like a weird Disney story and, like a weird holiday miracle. But I never even knew what it was. So it wasn't what I was going after. But then it just kind of started happening and I started working and then it really turned into once I understood it, because the way my brain works is like, I'm not the creator. My creativity comes when something like I can see something and then I can make it better. So I'm not someone who's like a dreamer and a conceptor. And so I didn't concept my career. My career concepted me. And then I kind of fell into it, luckily. And then I started having the vision and I was like, oh, I'm going to market myself. And, oh, wow, I'm actually really good at this. And I'm a good actor, like I'm more of a natural actor. But, by the way, I would never, I don't take acting classes anymore. It's not my thing. I just, there are people in this business that are just amazing actors and amazing voice actors. And so I kind of go by instinct. I do a lot of stuff by instinct and I have a cool voice. I have like raspy, cool voice. So, I've just been very lucky. I've been so lucky. And so I think just being in LA is a long-winded answer, but growing up in LA, you're around it. It's kind of like, what else are you going to do but be a waiter and try and be an actor? And then I just luckily enough, like found voice acting or it found me. And it's been a long time. And I've done a lot of amazing stuff that nobody knows about, but I know about it. And it's cool to me. I've had a great life. Since I started going to conventions, which was only, I did my first convention here. It wasn't even a convention. It was me with Naruto Noodle's truck and the mayor of Kauai. And a couple hundred people came out. It was awesome. But I started signing autographs because Lady Tsunade has a Funko Pop now too. And my friend David Lodge, who plays Jiraiya on Naruto, was like, Deb, the fans. And I was just like, okay. And I had done a Blizzard convention years ago because I'm in World of Warcraft. And I love going to conventions. I love meeting my fans. I do get feedback a lot saying that I give a lot when I go and people come back over the weekend and want to meet me again and again. And I'm very open and loving and very real, and because I can't be any other way. That's who I am. I'm just happy that I'm just so stoked that I had all the years that I've had, 30 years, solid of like my career. And people would ask me like, how do I do what you do? And my answer is like, I can't give you a paint by number. Like I can't give you the set of rules because I'm me. Like we're all different. And what happens for me is not going to happen for you, even if I spell it out how to do it. So, and I hope that I can keep making people happy. I mean, there are times when I get feedback from producers and they're just like, wow, your voice, my producer at one of the producers I work with at NBC that I do the Olympics with, like one day he said, I literally write words knowing what it's going to sound like coming out of your mouth. And it's like, that melts my heart when he's just like, I know what your favorite word's going to be. And he's like, I write a script thinking about your voice. And like that for me is heaven on earth.
And I think the biggest takeaway for you, like you were saying that, you wanted to do more, like, the Olympics, you're not resting on the laurel. You're pushing beyond like, hey, I'm doing this, but this is what I want to do. And I'm pushing towards that. And that right there is admirable.
I'm someone that like, I feel things deeply. I'm very intuitive. I would never say I'm psychic because that's kind of out there, but, and I don't even know that I am, but I'm someone that's been guided by something, stars, rainbows, source, God, whatever, Buddha. And so I had this feeling that I wanted to be the voice of the Olympics. And that was just for whatever reason. I mean, look, I was doing NBC Sports promos, and that's what they do is the Olympics. And so I was just like, someday they're going to pick me. And so, but again, like I said, I want to sing in a Disney movie. I was in 101 Dalmatians cartoon series back in the 90s. And that was a crazy story because that Pamela Adlon, who played Lucky, came to hear me sing in a band. She was a friend of my friend. And I kind of like, it's been so long now, but the way I tell the story is that we were sitting and having a drink and I asked her how to do voiceovers. And she was kind of like, it's like a little club and it's really hard to get in. And she, kind of deterred me from it. Not in a mean way. I think she was just like realistic. Like it's a tiny little club because it was. And then lo and behold, I ended up auditioning to replace her because she was having a baby and left this show, and I matched her voice. And that was how I became Lucky on 101 Dalmatians cartoon series. So I have this thing in my heart for Disney because I used to have a reoccurring dream that I was trying to get on Space Mountain at Disneyland, and I never could get on. And then the day that I booked 101 Dalmatians, I got on Space Mountain in my dream, and then I never looked back. I've been doing voiceovers ever since, and it's been a great ride. I've been so lucky. I am lucky. Do you know what it's like to have 98 brothers and sisters?
I mean, one could say, if you're into the law of attraction, you set that vision, and every action that you took was a step towards manifesting that into your reality. So
well, something I don't talk about a lot is that I became a Buddhist when I was 21 years old, and I was in an amazing world peace organization for many, many years. And I don't want to be in any organized anything anymore, but I still really feel, I don't know if you know about Tina Turner and chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, but like her movie. Yeah. So I did that for a long, long time. And I made a declaration to my teacher way, way back when in my 30s that I was going to be the voice of world peace, and that people all over the world would hear my voice. And because I was auditioning to like read a poem or something in front of thousands of people at a world peace event. And so I kind of like dug into my soul, and I was just like, well, what am I supposed to do on this planet to make the world better? And the only thing I could think of was my voice. Was like, I want people to feel inspired by my voice, and I want to be a symbol of love and change and hope and peace. And that's what I believe the Olympics are. And so I feel like I made that declaration, and the universe heard, and that's why my voice will be on, part of it this year. I'm so excited.
Definitely.
What about before you even knew that, like when you got in touch with me, what were you interested in about my career and me?
The fascination of you being out here in Hawaii, because I feel like a lot of people who move out here, it's very much free spirits, very spiritual people. And I'm very interested in that. Like, I feel like when it comes to when most people do interviews or are being interviewed, you got this standard questions, and we can always ask that, but I'm always more interested in going beyond that. Like, what are you interested in? What makes you who you are versus, okay, yeah, you did Metal Gear. What was that like? Did you expect that to be as big as it is? Like, anyone can ask that question, but how many people can have their guests be able to be like, hey, this is what I'm into. This is my mindset. This is what I like to do. Like, I don't feel like there are a lot of podcasts or interviews that focus on that, to be honest.
Cool. I like it. That's who I'm.
So.
That's who I am anyway. Like when people ask me, like, when you were in that Naruto scene, Lady Tsunade, what was she thinking? And I'm like, I have no idea. Except, you know, but I can remember like being directed by the one and only Mary Elizabeth, and like getting in, you know, just being in a cast of amazing actors. But yeah, I'm more into that anyway. It's who I am. And I think maybe that's what brought me here. I'm still figuring out this island. No, I mean, I think I'll never figure this island out because it's a very deep place here. Kauai is, I think of all the islands, like it is this vortex that a lot of, I heard, you know, from people that the island can like suck you in and spit you out. Like people wondered if I would stay. And, you know, I don't know if I'll stay here forever, but I will keep my house, and I have a beautiful home here. I've made some beautiful friends here, but you know, I think as a human being, I'm still figuring out like why did I have that Hawaiian lights, like literally go through my head during COVID to the point where I was like, I'm going to Kauai. And I got my dog and my cat titer tested because as you know, and people that are listening probably don't, but your pets can't have rabies. There's no rabies on the island. So they have all these things, these hoops that you have to jump through to bring your animals. And I was just like, I'm going to Kauai. I had this vision. I'm going to go there and check it out and surf. And so I still don't know what that was. And I'm still, because I would say I'm a more, well, hold on, I'm going to backtrack. I know that part of the reason I came here was to learn about the Laysan albatross. And I think you have them on Oahu, but where I live here in Princeville, it's the only place on earth where the Laysan albatross come into the neighborhood and mate for life. You cheat once in a while, but they mate for life, and they lay an egg on the front lawn in my neighborhood. And for 4 years, I've been watching these tremendous birds with the largest wingspan, and I am obsessed with them. And I just saw my first baby fledge last week on Independence Day. I helped a baby for an hour find the cliff. And so these birds sit there for 6 months. So the parents come in November, they get jiggy, they lay an egg, and then the parents take turns taking care of this egg that's like this big. They're big. And they just like have them in the yards. And then in January, February, the babies hatch and they freaking sit there until July, hoping not to get killed by a feral cat or a pig or a dog or a car. And it's, oh, my heart. Like I put up a video on Instagram last week because it was Independence Day, and I saw one of them running up and down the street, and I was like, oh my God, one's going to fledge. And what they do is they find a cliff and they run and they soar and they catch wind and they spread their wings, and they've never flown ever. And then they go for thousands of miles and they don't come back for 4 years. And it's unbelievable. And so I know that part of why I'm here is because I'm a bird person. I love birds. I'm very connected. And so I came to this neighborhood to be part of the bird community, and I'm going to become an advocate. I've decided, because 2 of my birds got hit this year and killed by vehicles. And where I live, there's just a 2-block radius where the birds live. And so I'm going to go to the mayor's office, and as soon as there's 3 more that are getting ready to fledge, one might be leaving today. We don't know, but I'm going to advocate for these birds and try to get more signs up in my neighborhood, because people are driving really fast. The sign says 10 miles an hour when you enter that area. And even myself, when I drive over there, I mostly walk, but if I drive, it's hard to go 10 miles per hour. Like your car wants to go at least 20. And so lately I've been watching myself. I'm like, wow, it's fucking hard to go 10 miles an hour. And that's why people don't. And then they hit the birds. But these birds are gigantor, and they shouldn't be hit by cars. So there's that part of my story. And then the rest, I don't know yet. Like I don't know, maybe I don't know what I'll do on this island to bring my spirit. Right now I'm just a haole that moved into a neighborhood. And, I think a lot of people look down upon those of us that came during COVID because there was a lot of that. I didn't come here to like gentrify Hawaii in any way. I came because I had a vision and she hasn't spit me off the rock yet. And so I'm still like listening, and I just want to spread love, man. I really do.
Well, there's the different. I mean, Hawaii does have a very complex history, but there is the more extremist Hawaiian groups, and then there's the rest of us Hawaiians that are just like, hey, you respect the land, you're local, we welcome you. We're all about the spirit.
Well, I'm not local, I'm a resident, but I am Cherokee Indian. And so I do understand deep in my soul that feeling of like loss and like, only from reading and watching and learning about what the American Indians have gone through. I feel like the Hawaiian people, have a similar story where rich people come, take, because it's beautiful here, and people want to be where there's beauty. And if you can, be there, but there's a problem because like the billionaires are coming here to Kauai in droves. Like it's like in my neighborhood, what is happening is absolutely ridiculous. And it's going to change. And I don't know. I don't know how I can help. I wonder if there is a way for me to help, but it's happening. And it's like I came from Venice Beach, and that, I've been in Venice Beach since back in the day when guns, scared, shots, gangs, crazy, like in the 80s, and it was gnarly. And I lived there, and I witnessed a lot of stuff, and now it's just like fully gentrified. And so that stuff just happens, and I just don't think they're stopping it. I really don't. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen to this little planet of ours or this country of ours. I mean, we're in a weird place.
Yeah. Well, what else? Most Hawaiians would say is, if you've been here for a while and you respect the land, we consider you all. So you get the Kamaina treatment.
I do get Kamaina. I love that. I love getting.
So the last question I'm going to have is, it's for the Metal Gear Solid fans, because when I did put out a poll to my audience, this was like the most. I think we had like, if I look at this correctly, I had about 70,000 people vote on this, and it was basically the question is, when you first landed the role of Meryl in Metal Gear Solid, did you think back then that series was going to blow up into the globally loved franchise that it is?
No, we had no idea. When we did the first round, it was the group of us. I think it was like a home studio. It was a house that was like a studio. And nobody knew. Like it was the first of its kind video game. And so like none of us knew what was coming, because we were acting. We weren't just like pow, pow, it was like acting. And we had serious relationships that had never happened in a video game. It was really visionary as it was created. And, there were awards. I won a video game award for Metal Gear. And, but like knowing into the future that like people would come to me 25 years later at a convention and bawl with me because I'm Meryl. Never. Never. No idea. And so, I mean, I'll tell you, like I went to the Metal Gear convention last year, the first one ever. I think it should be like a world phenomenon. I think Metal Gear Solid is I don't even play video games, but I know it's so loved. And I think the Metal Gear Solid convention should travel the world. I think the fans are phenomenal. I think the love of that game. I met a guy at my first mainland signing of Lady Tsunade, this guy came to me and he had Meryl on his arm.
Oh, wow.
I said, why do you have Meryl on your arm? And his sister died of cancer. And he said, I was so depressed that I wanted to commit suicide. And he said, Meryl saved my life. And I was just like, what? And we were both like crying. And it was so intense. And then at the Metal Gear Solid Con last year, that guy, I can't remember his name. Oh my God, I'm so sad. I'm terrible at names. He came up to my line and he goes, I don't know if you remember me. And I was like, oh my God, you're the guy with the tattoo. And I fell to the ground and we were weeping. And it was such a scene. And he brought this thing for me to sign. And it was like, you know, and everyone around was just like crying and hugging. And it was like such a love fest. And so I feel so proud. Like, I have to say Lady Tsunade is the same. Like, she's not the main character of Naruto. She's not, my lines aren't the longest at the conventions, but the people who are the fans of her and of Meryl, like, it's so deep and it's so beautiful. And I'm so blessed and lucky that somebody picked me to voice those characters, and I never in a million years thought I would be sitting here this many years ago talking about it. And you know, if for some reason this gets to come out before the con next weekend, and I understand you have to edit it, but like,
we can make it happen.
Awesome. That convention is going to be so much fun. I wish you could go. And if Amanda puts it together and her team again, I want it to be bigger. It's only 1,000 guests. Like, it should be 10,000 guests or more, you know, like, I really see that growing. And now that they're re-recording, I didn't even know that until you wrote that. Like, I wrote to David, I was like, what? And I guess Metal Gear 3 is the favorite. Is that why they're starting there instead of the beginning?
Yeah, it is kind of interesting because I'm like, you know, I guess from a narrative standpoint, it makes sense, but there's a lot in 3 that kind of requires you to know Solid 1, Solid 2, but you know, I guess they, you know, Konami just want to say, hey, we want to bring back, you know, Metal Gear and Silent Hill and Castlevania. We want to push the most loved entries, and then we'll go from there. So
yeah, a lot of things get remade, and hopefully it'll be great. But yeah, I'm deeply proud. I listen. I hadn't really heard any Meryl in a long time, and Vanessa Marshall plays games on Twitch, and that's a new thing for her. And I'm gonna just shout out to that woman because she's incredible, and I've known her. Both of the beginnings of our careers were together, and she's a really big part of the Metal Gear Solid Con. And she had me over to her house, and I don't play video games, so I was just sitting there watching, and and I heard these scenes with Meryl, and I was like, oh my God, that's my voice. Like, it was because I YouTubed it and I found stuff because I want to find, you know, something to sound like people like you to find quotes and stuff like that. But she was playing these like deep scenes and things that I didn't remember. My favorite thing that I saw that day was like, there were all these dogs, and I'm about to die, and I look at Snake and I say, I thought you said you were into dogs. Does anybody know that quote? Wait, so what were people voting on? You said you had a lot of people voting on what?
So I put out a poll to my community on Patreon. I was like, hey, you know, what are some questions? Because I let them know that I'm going to have certain guests on the show. And I'm like, okay, so, you know, I'm like, you guys understand that the way the shows are structured, it's not to just focus on one specific thing that the guest did, but if you wanted a certain question in, would you want it to be like, you know, what was your favorite line as Meryl, or, you know, what did you think it was ever going to blow up to be what it is, or, you know, a bunch of different questions. And that was the single question that almost everybody wanted to know. It's like, did you know it's going to be as big as it is? And it's like,
so here's my question. Are there people that are following you? Clearly, if you have that many that are like not on the islands that are watching and listening. And so is this like beyond
Yeah.
the islands?
Yeah. So my my audience is global. I don't really focus on trying to push towards the Hawaii market, just because I think you've probably seen out here, people out here are more so into like nature and outdoor
Yeah.
stuff, beach
Yeah.
surfing. So this isn't really. I mean, there is a smaller community that's into like tech and gaming and anime and all that, but it's not that big. So
True.
I just focus on going out there. Plus, with working with a lot of the game developers and working with uh, different voice actors and stuff like that, I just push out globally versus just focusing here in Hawaii. Like Hawaii is I hate to say it's a backdrop, but it kind of is because this is where the
Beautiful
podcast is
backdrop,
coming
by the
from.
way.
Yeah,
Paradise. Well, I'm
but
so happy that you're yeah, I think that's a nice question. And again, I don't think anybody, well, maybe David. Like David is a visionary. That guy's incredible. And I just hope that he's getting well taken care of by Konami for this new game. And I'm sure he is. He's done a lot for the community. He has. I love him. Every time I call him, he goes, Meryl. And I'm like,
so before we wrap up, is there anything you want to leave the audience with before we go, or definitely plug and promote everything? The floor is yours.
oh, thank you. I like again, if even if you're not going to the Metal Gear convention, because you can go virtually actually, and that is fun too, because there's a lot of virtual stuff going on. So that's July 20th, next Saturday. You can well, first of all, follow me on Instagram because that's all I do. My nephew helps me with all my social, and it's pretty much Instagram. Facebook is for my private, just my friends, and I barely go on there. But Instagram is where I DebiMaeWest, where I like tell you about where I'm going, what I'm doing. I try to share stuff. I'm not great at it, but my nephew is, and so he makes some really beautiful stuff for me. So follow me. I would and let me know. Like I definitely go on and I write to people. So if you see this and you love this and you want to follow me, like tell me that you saw me here today being interviewed, and I will do my best to just at least send you a heart and an acknowledgement. And then there's a QR code. I have a shop that I'm connected with. And so there's stuff, there's pictures. Let me show you this one thing. Hold on.
Okay.
Because I just have to say, if you are a Metal Gear fan, so there's this artist, Morlack, and
Awesome.
He just did this for me. Can you see it?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Yeah.
And then that's just Meryl. And so and then I have a bunch of other amazing, they're all right here. So I'll show you. I got these really cool, this is like old school.
Yeah.
And then Sons of Patriots. But so because I can't go, I'm signing virtually. So I'm like pre-signing. So if you're going to be at the Metal Gear convention and you happen to be seeing this, you can pre-order something, or you can go to the QR code on my Instagram and order something, or come meet me somewhere. And that's kind of all I got is just, I'm gonna be in Hawaii signing autographs on Oahu in November at MGScon. But please watch the Olympics. I'm a big fan. Sports is a great place where people can connect with love and just kind of be in competition in a loving way and not in a hateful way. And no, just that's it. Thank you so much. I'm so appreciative that you reached out to me. And as soon as you said like I'm here in Hawaii, I was like, okay, cool. I've never done a podcast for Hawaii, so I want to.
Awesome. Well, it's been an absolute honor having you on the show.
Honor.
It
Next
actually
time I
has.
come to Oahu and I go to the Blue Note or something, I'll let you know, and maybe we can meet up.
And that's it for this episode of the Kasanova Podcast. If you guys enjoy it, make sure you like this video. If you're watching it on YouTube, leave a comment and share it around. Or if you're listening to it on all the major podcasting platforms, make sure you leave a rating, leave a comment, and share it as well. And all the links for my guests, information, and everything is going to be down in the description below. So make sure you go give them a follow. So that being said, we're signing out. Thank you for checking out the Kasanova Podcast. This episode has been an absolute honor having the phenomenal Debi Mae West on the show. And we look forward to having her again on the show, as well as all our other guests for future episodes and all the previous episodes as well. So that being said, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Stay safe, be blessed, have aloha, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out. And a hui ho. If you enjoyed this episode of the podcast or any of the other episodes that we've done so far, if you've enjoyed any of the conversations I've had with the guests that I've had on the show, or just general topics that you guys have thrown at me or that I've researched and we've just talked about on the show, then do me a solid. If you're listening on any of the major podcasting outlets, make sure you leave a comment, leave a rating or a review, because it greatly helps out the show. If you're watching the show on YouTube, which airs every single week, then make sure you sub to the channel, youtube.com/@MikhailKasanova, or just youtube.com/MikhailKasanova, or even do us an even bigger solid by liking the video and sharing it with someone you think would find some enjoyment out of it. And all that being said, I hope you guys continue to enjoy this podcast and the content we put out here, because hey, we do it with a passion and we do it for you. So with that being said, I catch you guys on the next one. Stay safe, be blessed, and I'll see you around. Peace.